Correct.
Now, there's another aspect of this technology that also has a lot of potential, and that's conferencing,
Correct.
telephone conferencing.
Right.
Jim, why don't you tell me a little bit of that, about that?
The telephone conferencing system that Mike and his group, Leader Technologies, developed, consistent with all of the products and all of the design features, it attempted and completed the aspect of pushing out the empowerment to the user. So if I can take you back 10, 20 years ago, you used to have to call the telephone company and schedule a conference call.
Right.
That is at its peak, or the most simplistic sense. There were many features that are offered with conference calling that the consumer never had the empowerment of, the ability of muting, the ability of scheduling the call at their leisure, or recording, as Mike pointed out, the ability to record the call. Mike's group took this system and pushed all that empowerment out to the user so they can control the call to the best of their ability.
So how's it work, Mike?
You dial a number, either a toll number or a toll-free number, and you have a unique PIN number, which is in 6 or 9 numbers,
right.
And you distribute that number to everybody you want to come onto the call, and at the appropriate time, they all come on. And we've added some features so that, in fact, we can take it to the next level, because one of the problems with conference calling is that if somebody doesn't show up or is late or forgot their PIN, somebody's has got to get off of the call and call the person on the side, give them the number, give them the PIN. It's a very cumbersome process. We've invented something called direct dialing, so that while the conference call is occurring, the moderator can hit *1 and add that person's number to the call, and that person will be called automatically by the system, and they will be brought into the call. So that is an innovation, and that's one of the innovations that our underlying platform enables. And so we've kind of taken conference calling to another level.
So you don't have to call the telephone operator at all to do this
No.
now. You do it yourself. The key is you tell who you want to join, what the number is, and the PIN.
Right.
They dial the number, enter the PIN, and they're automatically joined into this conversation.
That's correct.
And they have all these other little things that they can do. They can mute their phone.
Right.
So
What you just said is
Yeah.
pretty standard. Everybody that does conferencing,
that.
that's what they do.
Right.
What we've added is all these other user-friendly features that enable them to do new things that the existing services can't do.
other than muting, what else would there be?
You can request another number to be added to the call. You can change the volume for the hearing impaired. You can keep adding the volume level so that
on your own handset.
On your own handset.
Yeah.
One of the interesting features, and it was the method by which it gave birth to the Leader Alert product that we just described, is the ability of calling, and I'll make numbers, 50, 100 people. You could actually blast out and connect 50 to 100 people, however many you choose, automatically. And it was that particular feature, Mike, if you'd care to share about the TerrorX04 conference that you...
People in Homeland Security and the Department of Defense were using that service and called us and said, we like this service, could you retrofit it to support our terror simulation in Las Vegas? And there they had about 700 Homeland Security executives merging on Las Vegas to do a Homeland Security simulation of a terrorist attack on the United States. And so within about a week we retrofitted our system to do that, and that was the birth of the alerting product, was a Homeland Security simulation for the United States.
Well, that's pretty fascinating. Now, all of this is available and functioning as we speak.
Absolutely. It's being used every day.
And who's making most use of it? Are the companies, corporations, primarily?
Currently, our primary volume is corporate conference calling, and that is growing. And the alerting after Virginia Tech is starting to get some traction.
What do you see for the future of this technology?
Because the underlying platform is a platform that allows a lot of different kinds of services, I think people are going to get used to wanting the services provided this way. So if your needs change and all of a sudden you want to go from conferencing to alerting, you can do that. Or if you want to add file and document sharing to that basic platform, you can do that. Our underlying engine allows all of that in the same account.
Well, when we come back, we're going to talk about something called the Leader Cards, the dialing cards. And this is a whole other aspect here, and it allows for some sponsorship, which is kind of neat. And as you're going to find out, these gentlemen have a lot of background in this industry, and you're going to learn a lot. We'll be right back in just a moment. I'm back now with our guests from Leader Technologies of Columbus, Ohio. On my left, Mike McKibben and Jim Sobwick. They are two of the top key executives of the firm, the CEO and the COO. Gentlemen, I want to turn now to what we call the Leader Dialogue Card. This is pretty interesting because these are the cards that actually enable you to set up a conference call in, because on the back of the telephone numbers and the PIN numbers you would need.
Correct.
How are these cards used, and what do you see for the future of these?
One of the things we've been looking at is how we can better enable people to use our conference calling services on a wider scale.
Okay.
And this allows that because a person does not have to subscribe to the service to start using this. They can just pick up that card and actually start doing conference calls in a sponsored way.
You know, we haven't talked about cost at all. Is there a cost for doing this kind of thing?
On this one, no. This is a sponsored service, so the user pays their own normal long-distance charge,
Right.
but there's no additional charge. So that's why we can make it available to a wide audience, a mass audience. This is, in effect, both a general consumer type of service, but also a Homeland Security service, because it allows people to collaborate that don't normally collaborate.
Well, as we were talking, there is the potential for using sponsorship for these kind of cards. In
Right.
other words, a corporation could put cards out like this.
Correct.
Exactly right?
That's what we hope.
How
will
is
happen.
that going to function? How do you get the word out on all of this?
Well, we are contacting corporations and organizations and educational institutions about distributing this, because one of our experiences that was a takeaway experience for us in supporting the governor of Louisiana was that in an emergency, one of the things you find is that the people who need to do a lot of the emergency services don't have any ways to communicate. They don't have any preset ways. And in the case of Katrina, the emergency services people were so tied up with first response and life-saving that they weren't able to help the social services people and the other groups to do much in the way of communication. And so they really needed something like this, that the people on the streets could start communicating immediately. And this allows that.
One of the responses we get back from Homeland Security is I sincerely believe they're agreeing finally that they cannot predict the unpredictable. And once again, with Katrina, the resources, the people that were on the scene first, the individuals, the local populace that experienced the disaster, they were the ones that knew best what resources they had and what resources they needed to be able to come up with solutions, some of the homemade solutions. And that is the pretty much the genesis of where we believe this is going to go, to be actually empowering. And as Mike described earlier, we do have corporate sponsors already, and we believe that the sky's the limit.
You know, I asked you that question without really prefacing or informing anybody, because I understand your background. You were heavily involved in the development of the telephone calling card.
Yes, I was.
Which everybody's familiar with them. You know, a lot of people, I'm sure, still use them to this day. You see them on sale.
I convinced Jim to come out of early retirement.
You retired, went to the farm, playing with your horses, and he brought you back. Is this going to have the same kind of potential, you think?
I think it will. If you reflect back, conference calling used to cost $1 a minute.
Yeah.
And we've gone from $1 a minute down to the teens, down to free. And the ability to collaborate, let's take this away from the emergency. Let's take it away from disasters. You have soccer moms that are needing to coordinate. You have individuals when they have regretfully canceling a baseball game for their little league. How do you communicate? And how do you get away from the conference calling tree, where I'm going to call 5 people, the person down below me calls another 5, and what if one leg of that chain breaks? This way you could have complete collaboration, dynamic rescheduling of events, and it doesn't cost a dime.
If you'd like more information on this company's services, you can find it on the web. Their address is simple. It's www.leader.com.